Hey everybody, I'm Joe Pace. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about 3 things that you can do today to start working on your handstand. The first thing we're going to talk about is really what we're trying to do in handstand overall, which is hold our body weight on our hands in the middle of the room for a period of time. So that first part, holding the body weight in the middle of the room, requires balance. Okay, so we're going to work on the balance aspect of the pose first. Then we're going to work on the second part of what I said earlier, which is holding in the middle of the room for a period of time. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about duration. So there's balance and then there's duration. We're going to work on both of those things. And then we're going to combine the two with a third drill where we're working on both balance and duration at the same time. So the first drill, and again, we're working on balance here, is the drill of tuck-ups. So if you've never heard of a tuck-up, it's essentially what I imagine as the first entryway into handstand at all. So what you want to do is place your hands directly underneath your shoulders and then extend them forward and then step back into a downward facing dog position. As you work towards handstand, you're going to be doing this a million times. Okay, so just get used to this. You're going to be coming from down dog most likely for all of your attempts and all of your work into handstand as you start to learn. But the tuck up is really simple. So we're going to bring the big toes to touch. And as you bend your knees, you're looking forward between your hands. And again, I mentioned my hands are shoulders width. That's how you're going to keep them. And then as you bend the knees and look forward, you're going to inhale and then exhale, jump up and land lightly back on your feet. Okay. Notice my elbows stayed straight that whole time. My elbows never bent. You're bending your knees. You're jumping forward with bent knees and you're landing. And so the tuck up piece is referencing what's going on in the legs. You're bending your knees, stack your ankles over your hips. So essentially you're tucking your legs over your body. Okay, so as you continue to practice, you're working towards bending the knees, looking forward, and then maybe catching balance of tucking in the middle of the room as you gaze straight down. This is what you're working towards, all right? And then again, you land lightly with bent knees, okay? So what this is working on is balance. We're jumping forward and finding that point forward and back in space where we actually catch the handstand. So that's number 1. So work your tuck ups again. You're working bent knees. It's an inch. It's 2 inches or 3 inches or 2 feet. And then all of a sudden you're balancing, reaching both elbows, never letting them bend. Drill 2 is at the wall. So a lot of people don't really get excited about this, but the longer you can hold a handstand at the wall, the more you're building the musculature you need to support the pose in the middle of the room. So to do that, you're just going to approach the wall. And again, we're going to approach it with a downward facing dog position. Hands will be about 6 inches or so from the wall. And this time you're going to kick up with one leg behind you with one other foot on the ground. So it'll look something like this. Your bottom leg is bent, your right leg is lifted, all right, or opposite, whatever you're feeling like. You bend deeply into one knee, both elbows are straight, and without flinging the top leg high, you're bending into the bottom leg and kicking as hard as you can to reach the wall. Once you get there, you're holding for as long as you can, working towards 30 seconds, a minute, maybe even over a minute. But really, once you get to a minute, you've gotten to the point where you've really built a lot of strength. Gently come down in control, okay? When you come down from the wall, you've been upside down, so just give yourself a moment to reacclimate with the world, okay? All right, so that's 1 and 2. We have working balance, which is in the middle of the room. We have working duration, which is at the wall. Now we want to bring those 2 things together. So we've separated them on purpose because it's hard to practice both at the same time. But once you've got your tuck ups and you're starting to feel pretty good there, and once you've got about a minute at the wall, okay, and you can do that every day, literally work towards getting a minute every time you get to the wall. You're going to work towards what's known as a tick-tock, and we're going to use the wall just as a safety net. So I like teaching handstand without using the wall as a crutch that we're using. It's not something that we're relying on. It's more of a safety net in case we flip over, which we don't want to do, but it's there in case it does happen. So this is going to be similar to the kick up to the wall, except we're going to keep our legs split. And I'm going to demonstrate that here just on the mat right in the middle of the room. But you can imagine you have a wall right here, and then it's going up like this, okay? My hands are gonna be about 6 inches to a foot away from it. And what I'm thinking is when I kick up, my top leg is going to come past vertical. So it's gonna come past my hands, and my back leg is gonna stay extended back. My top leg can touch the wall if I reach that far, if I overreach, but it's not a trying to get there. Okay, so you're hoping that you can balance on your hands with split legs. And the split legs is widening your center of gravity, so it makes it easier to balance on your hands. Okay, so you're gonna place your hands about 6 inches to a foot from the wall. Okay, so imagine a wall is about right here. My hands are planted down directly underneath my shoulders. I bend my knees, I look forward. From here, I lift one leg. I'm facing my right leg is lifted, so I'm facing my right hip towards the mat. I bend deeply into my left leg, and then I kick up with split legs. So this is combining a little bit of what we did with balance, with tuck-ups. Kick up with split legs, come back down. Kick up with split legs, finding vertical. All right, so you'll notice my top leg would be able to reach and touch the wall behind me if I flipped over. But right now, I have split legs, and I can come down gently onto one leg. So again, with the split legs, we're again finding that middle ground, front and back, like we did with our tuck up. We're able to widen the center of gravity, which allows us to hold the position for longer. Legs straight overhead makes it really hard to hold the position for a while. So keep the legs split so it's easier to balance, so you can hold in the middle of the room. So we're compensating on both ends. We have wider legs, which makes it easier to balance, which makes it easier to hold for a longer period of time. Try that again. I'm gonna do it at the wall this time just to demonstrate. So my hands are 6 or so inches or maybe 8 or so inches from the wall. I'm gonna lift my left leg this time, getting both sides, bending deep into my right leg to kick up. I'm reaching, I've kicked the wall here, so I'm gonna try to come off the wall to keep my legs split, find the balancing point, and I'm working balance and duration at the same time. As you start to get comfortable, maybe you bring both legs overhead. The wall is still there if you need it. Coming down, one leg at a time. Take a breath. So those are the 3 drills to work towards your handstand. If you can do these 3 drills in order and you stick with them over a period of time, you're gonna get there. Okay, you're simply gonna get there. There's no way you wouldn't. It teaches the skills of balance, teaches the skill of duration, and then it also teaches combining those 2 things so you can balance your handstand in the middle of the room.